Hi, this is Joy with Joyfully Made. Thank you for joining me today. Today, I want to share with you a quick and easy tutorial on how to make a throw pillow insert. Now, I went shopping for throw pillow inserts the other day just because I wanted to freshen up my living room and make it look nice because it's, nicer weather outside and we're all kind of stuck in our living rooms right now, so might as well make it the nicest place in the house. And so when I was looking, I saw throw pillows for $10 or $12 each, which is kind of ridiculous because these are really, really inexpensive to make. So what I did is I went to Walmart and I got two 18 by 18 white bandanas, or you can just buy white fabric. It's pretty inexpensive, but they were out of white fabric because of our current times. And so I just bought two 18 by 18 white bandanas and some polyester fiber fill. So in total, I spent for the fiber fill and the bandanas $6, and I can get probably 2 throw pillows total. I'm sorry, if I were gonna make 2 throw pillows, they would be $8 for everything because I'd have to buy 4 white bandanas. So instead of paying $12 per throw pillow insert, it's only $4 to $4.50 per throw pillow insert. So really inexpensive. And so today I'm going to share with you how to make this very easy project. Please like, share, subscribe, and let's get started. So for this demonstration today, what I wanted to do is show you how to pin the 2 pieces of fabric. My 2 pieces of fabric are exactly 18 inches by 18 inches, so it's a perfect square. And what I did for this demonstration today is I wanted to show you how inexpensive you could make your throw pillow inserts. And so these are 2 18 by 18 white bandanas that I picked up from Walmart. Very inexpensive, very easy to find. And so what you want to do is you want to pin in the direction that you're sewing. So as you can see, I have my pins going the direction that I will end up sewing this project. So I've pinned 3 sides for you. And now I'm on the final side. And I want to make sure to use a marking tool to mark my opening. And I'm doing this in hot pink today just so that you can see this. This is something that I can use the eraser to get rid of when I'm done, or I can use an iron to remove. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an opening that is about the width of my hand. And that should allow me to not only turn this pillow inside out, but also leave room to stuff it. And then I'm going to take and pin my project with going to be the direction that I will be sewing it. That way, as I'm going and doing the seams, I can remove the pins easily and put them in my little tomato. I also have a couple of dishes. Now, I know that a lot of people like to use Wonder Pins, and believe me, I love Wonder Pins. They're great for thick material or big projects, but on just a simple throw pillow cover, you can use traditional pins. Now, we're gonna test the tension of our thread right now. And what you wanna do is you wanna make sure that your tension is appropriate to the fabric that you're going to be sewing, so you don't get any puckering or pulled thread or thread breakage. And so I like to take 2 pieces of scrap fabric that are the same weight of the fabric that I'm going to be sewing. I have a Brother sewing machine, so my top tension is going to be 3.5, and my bobbin tension is going to also be 3.5. The tension depends on the sewing machine and the fabric. The thinner the fabric, the higher you want to go on your tension. The thicker the fabric, the lower you want to go on your tension. And for this project, I'm gonna have my stitch length at 2.5 millimeters. So the first thing I'm gonna do is test my tension. And we always wanna start with our thread, with our needle down. So you wanna move that needle into the down position. That way you don't lose the thread doesn't come off the needle, and it's just better for your machine in the long run. So we're gonna go and we're just gonna sew a straight line to check the tension. And I'm gonna sew with black thread today just so that you can see it. But in reality, you wanna match your thread to your project. And let's take a look. Okay, so the seam is laying flat and there's no, well, please ignore that. I didn't grab my thread when I started stitching, but there's no puckered thread on the bottom. So we can move on to the next step. What we're gonna do is we're gonna start sewing the pillow. And I am going to start from the side that is marked over here. And I'm gonna sew all around the pillow to the next mark. And I'm gonna be sewing it at 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I'm gonna take my first pin out and put my needle down. And we're just gonna be sewing in a straight line. Now this is one of the most basic of stitches on your machine, but it's probably the one you're gonna use the most. And when you start, you want to back stitch at least one time. I honestly don't think I back stitched right there, but I'll go back and fix that in a minute. So we're gonna sew all the way until we get 1/4 inch from the end. And we're gonna lift up, leave the needle down and lift up our presser foot and pivot the fabric. And then we're just gonna continue sewing. And if you're just doing a simple seam and your sewing machine allows you to adjust the speed, you can adjust the speed to a faster speed if you want. On my machine, it's really loud to do that. So I'm not doing that for this demonstration today, just so that you can hear me over my machine. Now, as you get closer to your needles, make sure to remember to pull them out. Some projects you're gonna have your needles closer to the edge, and you don't wanna break your sewing needle. I forgot to mention in the beginning, for this project, I am using a universal sewing needle. It's just a 70-10, I think. Honestly didn't remember. I'm gonna finish going around the entire project, and I'm gonna come over to this mark right here, and I'll come back to you when I'm done. Hi, I wanted to show you what I was talking about when I was talking about tension. So this number right here on a computerized machine, this is going to be your tension. So you want this number, and let me see if I can get a good image, and this number to be the same. You always want your bottom tension and your top tension to match. Now, if you have a front load bobbin, you're actually gonna have a screw on the bobbin. I have a drop-in bobbin, which I prefer just because I can see when I'm running low if I'm paying attention. They need a bobbin sensor. But these two numbers you want to match so that you don't have any pulling on your fabric. Okay, I just pulled my stitched pillow casing off the machine. I went back and I back tacked at the beginning, and I back tacked around the opening on both sides. Now I'm gonna turn this project inside out, and normally I just wanna reiterate, I wouldn't use black thread. I would always wanna match my thread to my project, or if I'm top stitching, I might wanna use like a nice contrasting thread, something that would add some design to a project. But this is just a pillow insert, so the good thing is once we do a pillowcase on here, nobody will see the thread. Okay, so what you want to do, and I did just a small seam allowance, so I'm not too worried about it, But a lot of times when you're folding something out, if it's a square and you want sharp corners, you could clip the corners. Don't clip the stitches, just clip the corners. Okay, and if this were a smaller project, you could also use a turning tool. So the next thing we're gonna do is stuff our bag with some, I have allergies, so I'm using hypoallergenic fiber fill. And this was actually the least expensive fiber fill. So I'm gonna fill, I can't word, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stuff my pillow and I'm gonna come back and show you how to close it. Okay, this pillow looks like me after I have eaten Thanksgiving dinner. It's pretty stuffed. Now, you wanna stuff this pillow to however firm you would like it once you've got the pillowcase on it. If you want a slouchy pillow, put less filling in it. If you want a firm pillow, put more filling in it, basically. So now I'm going to show you how to do, and I'm trying to get a good camera angle for this, where I can still actually be able to get in here. And so I want to show you an invisible ladder stitch. And this is a very useful stitch for a lot of things. If you're wanting to close the pocket lining on a bag, or if you're wanting to do English paper piecing, which I absolutely adore, you're going to want to do an invisible ladder stitch. So what you're going to want to do is take a chunk of fabric over on this side, just the smallest amount, and take a little bit of fabric on this side and come through. Or I guess this is more of a whip stitch in this sense. I'm going to come back around. I'm going to just take a small piece of fabric on this side and a small piece of fabric on this side, and I'm going to go back around. And this one, I'm actually matching the thread to the pillow because I had a white spool of thread next to me, so I just decided to use that instead of using the black, because I would have to go find another black spool or take it out of my machine, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, so basically that's what we're going to be doing down this entire opening. I'll come back at the end and show you the finished product. You know the good thing about sewing a pillow is you can stick it right in front of you and sew it, and you're not leaning up against the table. That's the good thing about sewing a pillow. I'm almost done here, and I'm closing up this pillow, and I was thinking of a very funny story. So my daughter is 6 years old, and she really wanted some bath bombs. And so I was at the grocery store the other day, and I was like, you know, she's had a hard year. This is her first year of kindergarten. She can't go, she's missed out on, you know, seeing all of her friends for several months. I'm just gonna buy her the nicest bath bombs I can find at the grocery store because everything else was still closed in our area. And so I bought her these really pretty cherry blossom bath bombs. They smell divine. And she, we have a neighbor that lives, our fences back onto each other. And so they can still play with each other and be socially distanced. And so they have literally been seeing each other every day since this all began. She's been going out to the backyard on the when the weather was nice when this first started, and they've been playing. And they're really glad it's summertime now because the weather is nice and they can be outside playing in the backyard. But she went outside, and the little boy in the backyard, she goes up to him, the fence, and she goes, "Guess what? Guess what? My mommy bought me bath bombs. Look, look." And he goes, "Yeah, so?" And it was just a typical guy response to bath bombs. She's really excited about them, and he goes, "Yeah, so?" It just cracked me up. It's like I just got a quick flashback to when my daughter becomes an adult and gets married, and she goes to like Lush, if they're still around then in 20 years, and goes, honey, look at this bath bomb. And her husband goes, yeah. So it was just so funny. It was just a typical male response, even from a 6-year-old boy. It was hilarious. But every day, since every day that the weather is nice, they go out there and they're each playing on their side of the fence. They're not allowed to pass anything to each other. They're not allowed to get too close to each other. And like Mackenzie has a little chair and she just sits on one side of the fence, and the little boy sits in his chair on the other, and they're like telling stories back and forth. It is just the cutest thing ever. But I can't wait until they're both older and I can tell them the bath bomb story. And I know it's just a bath bomb, but the funniest thing is just this little boy's reaction to my daughter telling him about the bath bomb. Yeah, so they're just bath bombs. It was just so funny. My husband and I got a really good tickle out of that. But they have, I think that if he wouldn't have lived so close, if he wouldn't be backed up to our property, my daughter would just be so lonely. Oh no. Okay, if you accidentally get a pucker in your stitch, just use your needle, pull it out a little bit and go back, and you can fix it. But just keep in mind, don't forget, this is a throw pillow insert. So when we go to do the throw pillow cover in our next lesson, nobody's gonna see these stitches. This is all gonna be covered up. And I just want you to save some money in this, because throw pillow inserts for some reason are rather expensive to buy fully made. But if you make them yourself, this cost me like $4.50. And when I went to look at buying some new throw pillow inserts for my couch at the store, they were $10 and $12 each. And I'm like, why? You can make that for so cheap. Okay, we're at the end of our stitches, and we're going to go through the stitch. Just gonna repeat the stitch a few times, just go back through it. It's like back tacking with a hand sewing, and then you're gonna just go through your loop and pull it tight, and we're done. And these are my favorite scissors for sewing projects, because you can just not have to work too hard to cut something, and I'm lazy. Okay, so here we go. Let's fluff her up. And here is our finished pillow. It's a little like me right now. It's a little lumpy, but when you go to fluff it up, it'll be nice and fluffy and make a good addition. This is, when done, it's about 17.5 by 17.5. If you wanted to make an actual 18.5 by 18.5, you could just cut your material to, if you wanted to make an 18 by 18, just cut your material to an 18.5 by 18.5 square, or 19 by 19 square. But I just wanted to show you how to make the easiest, least expensive throw pillow insert you could. See, here we go, a nice fluffy throw pillow. I hope you guys have a blessed day. Thank you for joining me today.